Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg was one of the co-hosts of The View when Barbara Walters was still on the show. Walters created the daytime talk show and wanted to bring on several women with differing views to discuss current issues. McCarthy was a conservative voice on the show and a nice bouncing board for Walters. Now, McCarthy is revealing some personal medical updates about Walters. She is specifically discussing that she saw dementia setting in for Walters before the longtime journalist's death. Here is what you need to know. Jenny McCarthy says Barbara Walters had dementia. After a long and illustrious journalistic career, Barbara Walters created The View in 1997. She remained on the show for years before retiring. She died in December 2022. While there have been some reports that Walters suffered from dementia, no one officially confirmed the diagnosis. Barbara Walters talks to Oprah Winfrey. Source: YouTube. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg has thrown her voice into the debate, and she says that she saw Walters exhibiting signs of dementia years before her death. McCarthy was talking to Maria Menounos on an episode of the Heal Squad podcast. Jenny spoke about joining the show in 2013 to bring her fresh energy to the show. Things didn't work out for her on The View. They wanted to do a flip of the whole show and be like, "Let's lighten it up," Jenny said via Heat Squad. "Let's lighten up The View. Let's bring Jenny on for a pop culture, buzzy girl that is more fluffy. And that is my speed." A week into her gig on The View, Jenny said she was talking to Barbara Walters about Katy Perry. Barbara had just interviewed Katy about being among the 10 most famous people of the year. However, when Jenny spoke to her after the interview, Barbara claimed she had no idea who Katy Perry was and didn't remember interviewing her. "It was the first sign that I realized that Barbara was suffering from beginning stages of dementia," Jenny said. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg on her failure on The View. It turned out that The View Season 17 was the final one for both Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg and Barbara Walters. While Jenny only lasted one season, Barbara was on the show she created for 17 seasons. Walters retired in 2014, and the show fired both Jenny and Sherri Shepherd 1 month later. Jenny said the show wasn't sure what it was meant to be in Season 17. They were like, "We're flipping it. There's no more pop culture. We're going back to politics," Jenny said. So she didn't look bad. She knew politics, but she didn't know pop culture. And I was like, well, I'm screwed here because I am not political. I don't even know what I was raised as, a Democrat or Republican. That's how far removed I was from it. She also said that her time on The View was the worst of her career. She said that the producers came in before the shows to prepare her to have an opposing point of view to the other women. However, Jenny said she didn't like it because she didn't care about politics. What are your thoughts on Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg saying that Barbara Walters had signs of dementia before her retirement and years before her death? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg, who co-hosted The View during its 17th season, has opened up about her time on the show and shared personal observations about the late Barbara Walters, the legendary journalist who created the iconic daytime talk show. McCarthy, known for her conservative viewpoints and pop culture expertise, revealed that she noticed early signs of dementia in Walters' years before her passing in December 2022. Jenny McCarthy's shocking revelation about Barbara Walters' health. Barbara Walters, a trailblazer in broadcast journalism, launched The View in 1997 as a platform for women with diverse perspectives to discuss current events. Walters remained a fixture on the show until her retirement in 2014. While rumors about her declining health circulated before her death at 93, no official confirmation about dementia was ever made public. Until now. During a recent episode of Maria Menounos' Heal Squad podcast, McCarthy Wahlberg recounted her brief but memorable time on The View in 2013. She explained that producers brought her on to add a lighter, pop culture-focused dynamic to the show. However, she quickly realized that Walters was struggling with memory lapses. "A week into my time there, I was talking to Barbara about Katy Perry," McCarthy recalled. Barbara had just interviewed Katy for her 10 Most Fascinating People special. But when I brought it up, Barbara looked at me and said, "Who is Katy Perry?" She didn't remember doing the interview at all. McCarthy said this was the moment she realized Walters might have been in the early stages of dementia. "That was the first sign for me," she admitted. It was clear Jenny McCarthy's time on The View. McCarthy's tenure on The View was short-lived. She and Sherry Shepherd were both let go after just one season. Walters retired in 2014, and the show underwent a major shift back to hard-hitting political debates, leaving McCarthy, who was hired for her pop culture flair, out of her depth. "They completely flipped the format," McCarthy explained. "Suddenly it was all politics, and I was like, I'm screwed. I didn't even know if I was a Democrat or Republican growing up. That's how little I cared about political debates." She also criticized the show's producers for scripting conflict. "They prepped me before each episode, telling me to take the opposite stance of the other women just for drama," she said. "I hated it. It felt fake, and I wasn't interested in fighting over things I didn't even believe in." McCarthy called her time on The View the worst year of her career, citing a toxic work environment and constant pressure to perform in a role that didn't suit her. Barbara Walters' legacy and health struggles. Walters, who interviewed some of the most influential figures in history, remained a powerhouse in television until her retirement. However, McCarthy's claims suggest that her cognitive decline may have begun earlier than publicly known. While no official medical records have confirmed Walters' dementia diagnosis, McCarthy's account adds to previous reports about her health struggles in her final years. Friends and colleagues had previously hinted at her memory issues, but out of respect, many chose not to speak openly about it. Public reaction to McCarthy's claims. Fans and media commentators have mixed reactions to McCarthy's revelations. Some applaud her honesty, while others question whether it was appropriate to share such personal observations about Walters posthumously. "It's sad to hear, but if it's true, it humanizes Barbara in a way we rarely saw," one fan commented. Others argue that discussing a respected journalist's health struggles without definitive proof feels invasive. Final thoughts. Barbara Walters' contributions to journalism remain unparalleled, and her creation of The View revolutionized daytime TV. While her later years may have been marked by private health battles, her legacy endures. As for McCarthy, her candid reflections shed light on the behind-the-scenes chaos of The View and offer a poignant glimpse into Walters' final years on the show. Whether her claims will be corroborated by others remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: Barbara Walters' impact on media will never be forgotten. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg, the former View co-host known for her unfiltered opinions, has reignited discussions about Barbara Walters' health and the behind-the-scenes drama of the iconic talk show. In a candid interview on Maria Menounos' Heel Squad podcast, McCarthy made startling claims about Walters' cognitive decline, years before the legendary journalist's death in 2022. Her revelations have sparked debate. Was she honoring Walters' legacy by speaking out, or crossing a line by disclosing private health details? The moment Jenny knew something was wrong. McCarthy joined The View in 2013 as part of a network effort to lighten up the show's tone. Producers wanted her to bring a playful pop culture energy to balance the heavy political debates. But just days into the job, she had a disturbing encounter with Walters. Barbara had just interviewed Katy Perry for her 10 Most Fascinating People special, McCarthy recalled. "Later, I mentioned it to her, and she looked at me blankly. 'Who is Katy Perry?' she asked." She had no memory of doing the interview. For McCarthy, this wasn't just a senior moment, it was a red flag. "That's when I realized Barbara might be in the early stages of dementia," she said. "It wasn't just forgetfulness. She was losing track of major interviews she had just done." Behind the scenes, chaos, firings, and a show in crisis. McCarthy's time on The View was short but tumultuous. Hired to inject fun into the show, she quickly found herself at odds with the sudden shift back to hardcore political commentary. "They brought me in as the bubbly pop culture girl, then did a 180 and said, 'No, we're going full politics again,'" she explained. "I was set up to fail. I didn't even know my own political party. How was I supposed to debate seasoned commentators?" Worse, she claims producers manipulated conflicts. They'd pull me aside before shows and say, "Today, you're taking the conservative side, no matter what." It was inauthentic and exhausting. By the end of season 17, both McCarthy and Sherry Shepherd were fired just 1 month after Walters' retirement. "It was the worst year of my career," McCarthy admitted. "The environment was toxic, and I felt like a pawn."